Please. تفضل.
In regards to the manhaj of the Sunnah wal Jama'ah,
No.
can you enlighten us what is the manhaj that we should be wearing? I don't know how to wear it without making becoming sensitive.
Understood, yeah.
But Prophet Muhammad
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
the sex,
Right.
towards the end of time, there will be 71,
Yes.
72, and 73.
Yes.
So I'm concerned about that particular hadith.
Sure.
And I would like to know what is the manhaj that we should be following towards the end.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful question. Thank you so much. So, just a reminder for myself and any of these words. One of the things about learning Arabic is it really gets you to think about, I think being a convert in general, it gets you to think about these new phrases because you have 1,000,001 words that you need to learn, and you know they're all new. But what it actually does is it helps activate a deeper understanding because you ask formally, what does that mean? So this concept of manhaj is, it literally means a way. And one of the incredible things, if you look about all of these incredible codifications, whether it's through Islamic sacred law, or whether it's purification of the inward, or whether it's to do with a particular methodology of understanding, all of these incredible arts, they all hold the name, they're actually synonyms, and it all means one thing. It means a way or a path. So Sharia, you know, whenever they say it in English, it's the Sharia law, it always sounds like really scary, and they have things on the TV and this kind of thing. It's actually an exquisite word. It's a beautiful word. And unfortunately, like so much of our tradition, it's been hijacked, and this is something that we really need to do. So whenever anyone studies in a traditional context, the first thing that they will do is understanding what the meaning of what you're studying is linguistically. So if you're studying the prayer, they say salah, lughatan. What does it mean linguistically? Linguistically, salah is from the root word sila. It means a relationship. It's something that you're bound to. It's to do with your connection back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wow, I've already understood so much about the prayer just from the linguistic meaning of it. It really deepens this kind of understanding. So manhaj means a way, a path. We hear the word madhab, dhahaba yadhhabu, to go. It's a way, it's also a path. Sharia, shari' in Arabic means a street. So the sharia is this sacred way, it's this path. Tariqah, which is the science of inward purification and understanding these hidden coordinates back to sincerity and true spiritual motivation to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is tariqah. Tariqah is also a path. So you have all of these incredible things, and they're all paths. Now, a person doesn't set out upon a path unless there's a goal in mind. And in response to the question, what is the true manhaj, what is the true path, then in whatever it is we're doing, whether it's the formal sacred sciences, the knowledge of fiqh or aqidah, or the inward knowledges, the subtle, refined knowledges of the art of training the soul, the result and the goal and the aim is always one. It's always Allah. Always. And if it becomes about something else, then we've diverted from the authenticity of that path. It becomes counterfeit. We say in Manchester, all the gear and no idea. It's somebody who's mimicking something of the path. They have all the quotes, and this is one of the problems that we have in our time. They have all the verses of the Quran mentioned, all of the hadith, but it's not pointing to that which it should be pointing towards. I mean, it's ugly. I mean, counterfeit is anything which is counterfeit has an ugliness to it. It's a moving out of this path of authenticity. That which is authentic, that which is real, always goes back to Allah. So anybody that we find trying to rule for the sake of Islam, trying to put their foot down and oppress other people and say, well, for the greater good because we want Islam to be, this is typically a warning sign, because it's not the way of the Sahaba. if anybody was to understand this, it would be the first generation which were blessed to receive these teachings directly from the Prophet ﷺ. Many of them were even killed because they refused to put themselves forth within a political context. Now, we hear this term, I've heard it a lot, is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. One of the interesting things, the word Ahl, it means a family. So the first thing that families do is they stick together and they have respect. And this is one of the characteristics of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They're people of the Sunnah. So they have a deep love and respect and honor for the Ahl Bayt, for the family and the noble descendants of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Which is something which the Prophet alluded to. It's very clear. It's in the Quran, it's in Hadith, that they have these incredible gifts, particularly spiritually. But they have a respect and honor for the Sahaba, the noble descendants of the Sahaba. And one of the great things about the region in which I've been living for the last 10 years is that there are both hundreds of thousands of descendants of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. In fact, it's the most densely populated zone. I'm being told off here because the microphone stuff, forgive me. It's also a very densely populated area of descendants of the Sahaba. So, and they always respect each other and they honor each other. And there's no kind of what they call in Arabic ifrat or tafrit. There's not this excessive fanaticism or this excessive negligence in terms of the religion. It's always a balance, it's always a harmony. If we look at the majority of scholars that involve themselves in the sciences of fiqh, then they adhere to this methodology. The science of aqidah, they adhere. I mean, it's not hard to do. If you go outside of this methodology, you're really struggling historically to look for figures that are able to kind of represent this. One of the most powerful responses that I heard to this was from one of my teachers who's one of the descendants of the Sahaba. And the entire lecture he gave me was just reading off names. Scholars in Hadith. And he took about 15 minutes, name after name after name after name after name after name. The scholars in Hadith of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Meaning what? People that adhere to one of the four schools of jurisprudence and or affiliated to those that affiliated. It doesn't mean that necessarily somebody is a scholar. I mean, the people traditionally in the Muslim world, they wouldn't have to bother themselves with this kind of thing because there would be a scholar of repute and integrity that they would go back to. But he would follow one of the four schools of thoughts in terms of fiqh, jurisprudence. One of the characteristics is they also follow one of the two schools of aqidah, of creed, of theology, which is the Maturidiyya and the Ash'ariyya. I don't want to get into technicalities too much. It's not the purpose of what we're trying to say here. However, I think it's important that these things are qualified and to know that they are qualifiable by historical fact, by, it's not something which just relies purely on emotion, which we need to be very wary about. However, the real characteristics of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and this is something I've been very blessed to experience, because I've crossed 3 continents. So I was in Arabia, well, technically Asia, but so Arabia. Then I went to Africa, and then I went to Southeast Asia. And they're all followers of this great body, and then the majority of people, and they have deep respect for one another. Deep respect. Even if they disagreed, it doesn't mean that the scholars never disagreed, but there was this adab, this incredible respect. One of the examples of this is, it happened with 2 of my teachers. One of them was a direct descendant of the Prophet ﷺ, another direct descendant of the Sahaba. Why is this relevant? What's the point? Why does that mean anything? It means that their fathers were the same and their fathers were the same, and they literally studied their whole lives. From the moment they were born was really imbuing and receiving this tradition. Now, one of the teachers, he was reciting the Quran, and in the particular verse he would make a mistake. It's a subtle mistake. It didn't change the meaning, but it obviously the Quran, we don't make a mistake in it, and we rectify it if we make a mistake. The other Shaykh, who is an expert in the 10 forms of recitation of the Quran, he asked the teacher that was making a mistake to listen to him recite. He said, "Shaykh, I don't know if I'm doing this correctly." These two are profound scholars, the ulama, fuqaha, the people with very, very deep knowledge of the deen. He said, "Shaykh, can you test me, because I'm not sure if I've got this pronunciation right." And he went past the line, and with the other teacher it clicked, and he just smiled and he wept. And he said, this is the way the Sahaba were. This is the way they respected each other. Because he understood what he was doing, but he taught in a way which was not like, "Look everybody, he's making a mistake." You know, I mean, this is just to do with the ego. It's not about refining one another. It's not about bettering each other. As Muslims, we shouldn't look down upon each other at all. It's one of the signs of the diseases of the heart. And it's one of the signs that a person is far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the signs that a person is close to Allah is that they always give people the benefit of the doubt. They always respect people and honor people. They're not overly critical or cynical. Now that's very challenging in this time, particularly when, let's face it, we need to be cynical, else we're going to get duped left, right and center. You know. However, if we find authenticity, then we need to learn how to offer our hearts, how to trust, because a heart that can't trust can't love. If you can't trust someone, you can't love them. This is the importance of the centrality, even within a marital relationship within the deen, because it has a deeper and a higher principle to do with our relationship with God. If we don't know how to trust Him, if we don't know that He's looking out for us, if we don't know how to call upon Him, so many Muslims are asking, what do we do? How do we turn to Him? It's that simple. No, but we need to think about it. Just turn to Him. One of my teachers said, you want to know the answers to all of these problems? Get up in the last part of the night when everyone else is asleep. Everyone else is busy snoring away, but you go against your nafs, and you get up and you wear your best clothes and you put on your best perfume and you pray and you weep and you call to Allah, the only one that can ultimately affect any change in the ummah. You ask Him. Because if you think it can come from you or anyone else, then you've not understood this deen and you've not understood Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We see all of these changes within the ummah, historically. But due to the nature of the way history is documented, it's only understood from the outward peripherals, as we said. It's this happened and that happened. We don't see the people who prayed at night. This isn't documented. Saladin, Sayyidina Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, is well known. Kingdom of Heaven. It's probably one of the only semi-unbiased films that ever came out of Hollywood. At least they portrayed him in semi kind of good light. He was a very righteous person. He actually studied in the methodology of Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. They say when the Crusaders first came, the streets of Jerusalem were awash with blood. When he came in, he actually washed them with rose water. He went out to purvey the camps, the military at night, and people were sleeping, the campfires were kind of like in their embers, and he was up at night and watching, and he came across one man, and he had his hands raised, his finger raised to the heavens, and he was crying. He said, "Allah, please give victory to your ummah. Give victory. This is the ummah of your beloved. This is the ummah of Muhammad. Please, Allah." And this man was weeping. Salahuddin Ayyubi, he looks to this man and he says, "Wallahi, I swear by Allah, that one finger raised in the depths of the night is dearer to me than 1,000 men fighting."